What's up, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of We Are the Bonsai Supply. I am Jerome, and today we're going to work on this super old desert rose. So today I'm going to go ahead and repot this old tree right here. This is an Adenium Socotranum, which originally we imported from Thailand, and this tree is over 100 years old. Now, this tree needs to be repotted this year because it is very vigorous and it has already filled the entire pot with roots, so it's completely root bound. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to select a new pot for it. I have two choices that I'm going to choose from, and I'm going to tell you why I chose the pot that I'm going to choose. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring the canopy back into shape. It is starting to lose a little shape on top and on the sides a little bit. It's starting to become a little too leggy. So now it's a really good time for me to go ahead and do this work on my Socotranum. It just has finished flowering. There's just a few flowers left. And if you're not familiar with Socotranums, the reason why they're so appealing is because the flowers are super small. Now, even though this tree is so old, it is still very vigorous, which is a fantastic thing, because desert roses usually slow down once they get to a certain age in terms of growth. So since it has stopped flowering, I can now go ahead and cut all the branches back and wait for its new growth to push in a few weeks. So this desert rose, it's a very rare desert rose because we actually imported it from Thailand, and the desert rose is over 100 years old. So we had to get a very special license to import this one, and this is one of the very few in the entire country. Alright, so this tree in the background here is actually also a Thai Socotranum. I've worked on that tree in a few YouTube videos actually, and this tree is going to its new home at the end of this month, and its new home is in Nevada, Las Vegas. So we waited a few months until it got warm enough for the tree to travel safely from Florida all the way to Nevada. So if you guys see any trees in these YouTube videos that you are interested in, please reach out to us because we can ship them all over the country. So now, back to this old Thai Socotranum. So since this tree is so old and so valuable, of course I had to get some help. So I asked my beautiful wife to take a day out of her busy schedule and come help me, okay? So this is her, this is Mara.
But first,
so now that we washed out the roots away, once she has washed out the roots with water, you always want to make sure to use water to wash out an Adenium root ball. And now the next step is we're going to take care of all of the crossing roots. I'm going to show you what that looks like close up. So all of these roots, like this one right here, that crosses over the root ball, that's an indicator that the tree was inside of a pot too long. A tree should never have crossing roots like that, especially an old one like this. You usually only see roots go around in circles like this on a tree that was grown in like a parking lot where the roots were restrained. Another one over here. This one looks good. This one here crosses. You see any other crossing roots?
yeah.
Where? Let's just see how this root crosses over like that. So you just go back over here. You cut off here. Another root over here that's crossing like this one. So this one, we can just lay them next to each other and now they don't cross any longer. So we can continue to pull the root base out a little more. Alright, so now that we cleaned up the root system, it's time to choose a new pot, a new pair of shoes for the tree to go into. So we have two different pots to choose from. We have one that's rectangle and that's glazed. And we have also a round one. Now the round one could work really well because the root base is round, as well as the canopy is roundish as well. But the rectangle pot could really work really nice because it has it's like a teal glaze, which will go really well with the flowers. So we're going to bring up each pot on its own and set the tree inside, and then we're going to take a few steps back to see what it looks like, and then we're going to decide on which pot. Okay. Which pot do you want to go with first?
Let's go with the unglaze.
Round one?
Or not? Oh my god. I'm ready to move it.
So, let me fill you out in on our little conversation we're having. So, she made a very good point. She said this pot is very snug. Now, the snug thing is a very good thing for a tree of this age, because you don't want the tree to grow too much anymore. You just want it to have enough room so that it can just continue to grow a little bit. In this big pot before, it was growing too fast on the canopy, and that's very dangerous because you could lose ramification fairly quickly. So putting it into a smaller pot slows down the growth a little bit, and then we can keep a closer eye on the ramification. So what do you think about this pot? Do you like it?
I like it, but I want to see the glaze one.
I do too, but I think it looks really nice in this one.
It does. It looks like just right at the bottom. Gosh, it gets heavier every time. Well, this would have been really nice if it was bigger.
Let's see if we can, if we can cut the roots here, still get the rounded effect. You know what I mean? Maybe it could work. Like this.
I'll hold it and we can see how it looks.
Hold it straight.
Just hold it by itself. Oh, it is. Can we move it around? I know, I mean, this is the front.
Move it around how? I mean, all I have
Like
to
if
do,
this section
look at
is...
this. If I take this out in the front, here, it will fall right in. And in the back, I can trim these a little bit as well, and it will fit right in.
Well, without space for anything.
Well, you have space on the sides. So this pot would have been a really, really nice choice because the teal color would have gone super nice with the flowers of the tree. But unfortunately, we are on the front about 1/2 inch short and on the back about 1 inch short. So the obvious choice to go with now would be the big round pot. So I think we're gonna go with that one, right? Okay, perfect. so while she was holding the tree in position, I stood a couple feet back to see if the tree is centered in the pot, because in a round pot or a square pot, the rule is, and I'm not a big rule guy, but this rule I like to follow, is that you plant the tree dead in the center. So I had to make sure that it was sitting dead in the center and that it's not leaning forward or backwards or to one side. So while she was, I told her which way to go, and as soon as we had it positioned, I used the soil to push it underneath the root system to prop it up on all the sides to make it sit perfectly. And we haven't even tied it down yet. So right now she is working on getting out the air pockets. And once the air pockets are all out, air pockets are little pockets inside the soil that are filled with air, or once you water are going to be filled with water. And if you have too many air pockets, too much water and too much air are going to store in those pockets, and your tree is eventually going to die. Actually, not eventually, it's happening fairly quickly. So, alright, so do you see how we put some soil here and then she drove her chopstick into the soil and just wiggling it back and forth? You see how the soil just falls right in? That means we have a big air pocket here, right? So she has to continue wiggling like that and pushing the soil into that pocket to fill that pocket. And that's what's called an air pocket. So this air pocket actually goes really deep. I can feel it with my finger. So the whole front here has a huge air pocket. So we're gonna work with our chopsticks and fill in the soil. So now I'm going through the entire canopy and I'm going to cut out all of the weaker foliage as well as the foliage that has pushed out too far. So like this one right here, you see how this branch comes out straight and then it goes up? So I'm going to cut this off right here so that the branch continues to go out straight. And so I'm going to go through the entire canopy and do that. And now you see the sap that leaks here? Not to worry about that. That's because the entire tree is filled with water right now. So I don't have to do anything, no cut paste. I just go through the entire tree and remove all of these. I'm also going to remove the branches that grow back into the canopy. I basically want all of them to flow out like that. I think we're pretty much done here with trimming the tree and doing all the work. So thank you very much, Mari. I'll let you get back to work. So let me give you a little recap of everything that we did here today. So we took the tree out of its old pot and we washed off all the roots. I never trimmed the roots, and the reason why is because I don't know what the soil hides underneath. So if I use a rake, especially on a desert rose, you could damage the root system severely. So I always use water and I wash out all of the old soil, and then it allows me to see what the tree was hiding underneath, right? And then I go ahead and trim it, and then usually I keep the tree in a shaded area for a few days to dry out the root system. Now here I did not do that for the video's purpose, but the tree is still in the shaded area. There's a shade cloth that goes on over the top of the tree, and that removes 40% of the sun, which is plenty. So I'm not going to water it now in this pot for maybe a few weeks. I want to say maybe 2 weeks, because I want the entire root system to be completely dried out. Now I also didn't water the tree maybe 5 days before I started today's process because I knew for the video purposes I was going to finish repotting it right away. So we used our all-purpose soil mixture for this job, which is made out of lava rock, pumice, calcined clay, and pine bark. And of course we use that soil mixture for everything here. So I really do love the pot that we chose. I think it goes really well together with the entire theme of the tree. Rounded root system, rounded canopy, and a round pot. So this pot is 29 inches in length and about 7 to 8 inches deep. On our website we only offer pots up to 12 inches, but if you're interested in a larger pot, just reach out to us. You can reach us at info@thebonsaisupply.com and ask for larger pots. So these larger pots, they have to be special packaged. We usually send them on a crate, and we build wooden walls just to make sure that they get to you all in one piece. Okay, so the next step really here now is to just leave the tree as is for 2 weeks. Or maybe even more. I'm not going to water it. I'm going to wait until all of these cuts are completely dried off and that the root system is completely dry as well. And then I'm going to water it for its very first time. So I'll catch you guys next time. All right.